Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Again. So I don't think I'm going to be binned off today. Thank you so much. You can see there's a lot of you there. I'm going to say hello to you all in a minute. Thank you so much for trying again with me. So last night I tried to show you the Channel 4 documentary, didn't I? And I got thrown off twice, actually. Well, lots of times. And then I did the second part of it. I actually did a video and tried to do that as a premiere and still got thrown off. It's quite interesting because I wasn't thrown off completely. It's not a copyright strike. Basically, it's, just banned in the UK. And I understand the copyright sort of idea. I do understand that. Sorry, hang on, I'm getting all these emails through. I do understand, obviously, copyright. I've written books and things. I wouldn't like somebody to pretend, but to me, copyright is like when you're using somebody else's thing and pretending it's yours. I wasn't doing that. I was using it in my eyes under fair use. But anyway, that's what they've decided. Paramount or whoever owns Channel 5. They've decided that you can't watch it on my channel unless you're outside the UK. So if you're outside the UK, you can still find those videos on my channel. They're permitted everywhere else, just not on British YouTube. And it just goes to show you, doesn't it, how things can be manipulated if people want to manipulate them. The news that you get in Britain is different from the news, etc., that you get in other countries. The YouTube is different. Everything's different. So last night when I did the premiere of part 2, it was like me, a couple of people who had VPNs, somebody who lives in Barcelona, and then I know that people from other countries have managed to watch them. But we couldn't all watch it together. So then I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? Because it's not a thing is, if you live in the UK, you can watch that documentary on My 5. Now, I imagine it's still on there. If you didn't manage to catch it on Friday night, if you live in the UK, you'd be able to watch it on My 5 on replay, I would imagine. I haven't looked actually to see if it's still on there. It'll be on there for a while. I think they keep them on there for about a month. Sorry, I'm drinking Coca-Cola and it's like, I think they let them stay on there for about a month. I don't know. So anyway, so if you're in the UK, you can watch the documentary on My 5 or whatever, the Channel 5 streaming service. If you're outside the country and you can't watch it on there, but you can watch my videos that I've put out where I'm commenting on the documentary. But I know for a lot of you, a lot of my subscribers are in the UK, and it's not about watching the documentary, is it? You're wanting to chat about it, you're wanting to discuss it, you want to see what my thoughts are on it. So it's not just about watching the documentary itself. Probably most of you have actually watched. If you're in the UK, you've actually watched the documentary. But what you want to do is like rage about it, or pick things up on it, that you thought was strange. Or so that's the purpose of doing this video today. Because to be honest, by the time I'd finished last night, God knows what time it was, I was thinking, oh my God, that's it. But of course, today I've got up and I've thought, well, it's not fair because my UK viewers, who are, probably the most viewers that I've got, haven't had a chance to watch it properly. And we can't watch it tonight. We're not going to be watching the actual documentary. What we're going to be doing, I'm going to be reading out the transcript and showing you selected photos from the documentary. I'm going to try and make it as visual. You will get the exact transcript of what everybody said. I'm going to present to you all the people that spoke on there. But I cannot show the actual video itself, or we just go down the same road where they'll just cancel the live and that'll be it. And then not only that, you won't be able to watch it even afterwards. So But after this, anyway, if those of you who did get to see part 2 last night, by the end of it, I was really stressed and emotional, and I was like, I'm never going to do another video again about Nicola Bulley, because it is distressing. There's always problems one way or another. Whenever you try and do some information about Nicola, there's either problems because people are nasty, there's problems because it's so confusing, because there's so much conflicting information. It's distressing because still we're a year on and Nicola went missing. There's 2 girls without a mother, and that's never going to change. And who knows if we're ever going to find out anything different from what we know already. So it's distressing on many levels, to be honest. And so, yeah, after this, I am going to have a break. Of course, if something the trouble is, I say that quite often, and then something else always comes up in this sort of, I mean, it's a crazy case, but it is a real case. It is a real person. There are 2 girls who are waking up every morning without their mum with them that should be there with them. So it's awful. But anyway, so thank you for being here again with me and giving me another chance here to sort of, what's the word? The thing is, and let me just say, comment as much as you want. This is what this is here for, really, is about the comments, though, that you can talk between yourselves, but keep your comments respectful, as always, not only to me, but to each other. And if you have a different opinion, that's fine. If somebody says something you don't agree with, just scroll past it. You don't have to agree, but what you have to do is be respectful. Okay, so I'm going to say hello to everybody. So Michael Wood was on very early this morning. I don't think anyone has identified the river used in the documentary yet, as far as I know, because this was one of the things, wasn't it? Why did they use real footage of St. Michael's and the real river, but as it is now, not as it was on, when Nicola actually went missing, but combined with this really weird footage of a completely different area that looked nothing like it or had no relevance to it. So as far as I know, no. Hi, Angela. Could the programme have been made ahead of certain things coming out? I don't know. I don't know. My head hurts, Angela, I'd say there, but it's a thought. Follow one when things come out. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? And I too cannot accept that she accidentally fell into that river. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Susan. Yeah, reiterate the narrative. Robin says, is it just me or did I miss the unseen footage? They said they would show of Paul's interview. There was no new footage. In fact, Paul he does speak. Well, they show the interview from a year ago. There's no new footage. And Paul has not spoken again about, how he's doing, how the girls are doing. There's nothing new in that video. So no, Robin, it's not just you. There was no unseen footage. Hi, Mello. Hi, Chumba. Hi, Rio. Hope you're well too. I'm good. I am good. I really am good. I'm a bit tired. I'm a bit sort of, discombobulated about all this. I've never had a video blocked before, in certain territories, so it's strange. So why is it only blocked in the UK? I suppose that's their copyright, whatever they've put on it only extends to the UK, but I don't know. Hi, Jackie with the CQ. Hi, Desi. Hi, Tracy. Hi, David. Hi, Mel. Hi, Tina. I'm not sure, I might have said hello. Hi, Selena. Selena managed to watch the video last night because she's got a VPN. Hi, Wesley. Hi DMV. Hi Bridget. Yeah, banned in the UK, Desi. So, you know, you just makes you wonder what else is banned in the UK. Hi Carla. I don't know, Selena, if someone's reporting me, but I think it's Channel 5, isn't it? They'll have detected a copyright. Anyway, it doesn't matter really. Hi Caroline. Hi Carla. Hi Mara. Yeah, it was very annoying. That was a long night last night. It's been a long morning this morning trying to put something together that I don't think is going to get actually blocked. Yeah. Because the thing is, it's not only me, my videos that you can't watch. So that Channel 5 documentary, you can't watch in other countries unless you've got a VPN. So you can't, if you were in Australia or me in Spain, I had to use a VPN to watch it. You can't get it on the Spanish TV. You can't, so you can only get it on the UK TV, but then you can't show it anywhere else. Quite odd, really. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Ocean. Hi, Blank Faces. Right. Oh, I thought I was nearly at the end, but it's a little way to go. Hi, Maria. Hi, Nick. Hi, Jean. Oh, dear me. Right. I think we're going to get to the end of this. I think I've got to the end of the hellos. So what I want to start off with is, so basically what I've got for you that we're going to look at is I've taken some screenshots of all the people that are speaking, and we're going to talk about who spoke. Then I'm going to go through the actual transcript. So I'm going to read out the transcript basically, and each time I'm going to tell you who was talking, and we can have, and I'm going to point out to you the things that I found really awful about the video. I didn't find anything good about the video, to be honest. Honest to God, I'd be struggling because there was nothing, there was nothing true in it. Well, apart from the sort of the basic story, I suppose, but, that she supposedly took her children to school. Anyway, let's start. And Laurie, what that integration of the man in black, this was the worst thing for me, because they integrated pictures of the man in black, but they never mentioned the man in black. So why did they put these shadowy pictures? Every now and again they showed a picture of the fake Nicola sitting on the fake bench at the fake riverside, and then this man appeared in the background. But they never actually said that somebody said they'd seen a man in black. So I found that really eerie, to be honest, and really strange. But okay, let's have a look. So let me just so I'm going to just start the beginning of the transcript. This is what they said. Okay, they said it was a Friday morning, just a normal Friday morning. Nicola Bulley took her dog for a walk. She dropped her kids off at school. She went on a work call, and then later that morning, her phone was found. Her dog was running in the field, and she was gone. She literally vanished without a trace. Police in Lancashire carried out a search operation for a. So this is the news talking. So obviously I haven't got I can't put the video on because they'll just shove me off straight away. But then they went on to like a news article. Police in Lancashire are carrying out a search operation for a woman who went missing 3 days ago. So that's it. And then they said that was the introduction, and I'm going to show you some pictures in a minute of the main sort of characters, if you like, not the characters from what happened to Nicola, but the people that are going to speak during the video. Sorry, the documentary. It was a Friday morning, just a normal Friday morning, they repeat. Nicola Bulley took her dog for a walk. She dropped her kids off at school. She's on a work call. And then later that morning, her phone was found. Her dog was running in the field and she was gone. She's literally vanished without a trace. The family says her 2 young daughters are desperate to have their mummy back home. It was the story that gripped the nation. People don't vanish into thin air. Something happened that day. Something. A total mystery. Has she gone of her own choice? So this now is Peter Lane speaking. Has she gone of her own choice? Has she been taken by someone? And then, or was it Mark Williams Twonk saying, was she an alcoholic? Was that domestic violence? Everybody is a suspect. And it reached the highest levels of government. Okay, so let's have a look at some photos of the people that are in this documentary and some of the scenes out of the documentary. So, Jean, yeah, I'm on coke at the moment, but you never know, in a minute I might be. Thank you so much, Jean. It has been quite stressful, but never mind. There's a lot worse things happen to people, so I'm not, I'm not whinging about stress. Thank you so much, Jean. Okay, so sorry, I was on the photos. Oh, I've got to share it, Vicky. You've got to share. You've got to share. Got to always remember to share. Got to remember to share. So this is the first thing that irritated me completely, as I started saying last night. Now, some of you will have started off, and you did get to see a little bit of the video last night before it got sort of taken down. Well, it's not been taken down, but before it got blocked in the UK. Some of you were on here with me, and we did have so you will know some of the things that I'm going to say. So the first thing that really, really irritated me is I just do not understand why they used this bench in the footage, because quite often they used the real bench as well. There's loads of footage of the bench. They didn't have to go to St. Michael's to get a photo of the bench. There's loads of it on social media that I would have sent them some if they would have asked me. I've got about 200 pictures of the bench, all different positions, all different states. And oh no, they chose this bench, which is obviously a brand new bench. It's nothing like the other bench even. So it's not even a similar bench on a different river or whatever. It looks like they've just put it there. You know, it's just crazy. Why did they do that? Honestly, that is a genuine question. What was the reasoning behind using a completely different bench when photos of the real bench they did use as well and are freely available? I don't think I'll ever understand that. And then, of course, he used the fake Nicola as well, sitting on the fake bench by the fake river, by the fake style. Just crazy. Why did they do that? No, maybe they did it because they wanted to put in this, because we will see the man in black that they never mentioned, but just kept interjecting, like really creepily, into this false footage. And there's no no indication that Nicola was ever sitting on the bench. No one saw her sitting on the bench. So why have they even taken a picture of her sitting on the bench? And it's not even the real bench. And I'll stop ranting about that sooner or later. But you know, that really, really does annoy me, because I don't understand why. I just don't understand why. And then they had the fake Nicola walking by the fake river, which is a lot bigger than the St. Michael's River, with the phone in her hand where she had gloves on, which apparently she didn't have gloves on. So what was the reason for that? So it was all wrong, you know. I mean, if you're going to do a documentary and you're going to make out you're better than like social media, because social media put out all these wild theories, then you really have to be a bit more true to life, you know, in my opinion. Just let me make sure I haven't missed anyone coming in. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Dream Big. Yeah, so we don't know that she ever sat on a bench, do we? You know, just so, you know, there's nothing to say that she ever sat that morning, certainly, that she sat on that bench. So why are they showing her a picture of her sitting on the bench with a man in black behind her, which we're going to see in a minute? Yeah, the thing is, Hightail 7, Maggie, you're right. It was more a dramatization, but it was a combination. It should have either been a dramatization or not been a dramatization. And they don't say. The other thing is, they don't say is that, you know, like normally, if you're watching a crime video or whatever, or a documentary, when it's being dramatized, they'll put a proviso up like, oh, these events are being dramatized, or this is a reconstruction. They didn't put anything up on this. So if you were watching it and you didn't know, we know because we've been following this case. But if you hadn't been following this case, you wouldn't know which bits were dramatised and which bits weren't. It was never indicated what was a dramatisation and what wasn't. You know, so that's really annoying. Anyway, so going back to the pictures. So yeah, we've got this again. There shouldn't there have been something here as she was walking along this river, dramatized? It should have said this is a reconstruction. Isn't that what they normally do? It was a really bad documentary. You know, I'm surprised. It's like it was done on the cheap or something. Was she not worth a bit more investment into a proper documentary? This again. So this, I think I said last night, and some people said it look, to me, I don't know why, it looks a bit like Clapham Common, but it could be any common, couldn't it? It could be Clapham Common, it could be Wimbledon Common. It's one of those. So you've got your false bench here, which may be a bench on that particular common. You know, and they're all pretending to look, and the fake policeman, he looks like a fake policeman because he looks like his clothes don't even fit him properly. His hat looks too big. It's all, but there's nothing to say it's a reconstruction. So that is not St. Michael's. Should be said that this is a reconstruction. And then this was the foulest thing of all, in my opinion. This, where they showed the fake Nicola on the fake bench by the fake river, by the fake stile, and then showed the shadowy man behind her. But in no point in time, even when they were talking about the inquest later on, at no point in time did they mention that a man in black had been seen. So what was the point of putting him there like that? What was the point of it? That's awful. And then they go on, all these people that we're going to look at in a minute that took part in this documentary, they then go on to slag off the social media. Yeah. So who's being dramatic? Who's like, you know, so they're not saying here this is a dramatization either. No, it's awful. So the person who was presenting the documentary, for some unknown reason, was not Dan Walker this time. although Dan does appear in it. This is Peter Lane. He's the North of England correspondent for Channel 5 News. He used to work for BBC. He was a runner for ITV. And just when I saw that, I thought, oh, I wonder if he knew Philip Schofield. You know, anyway, this guy, I don't know much about him. He's a cancer survivor, apparently. So good luck to him. And I'm glad that he survived cancer. But it's funny how he's presenting this and Dan Walker isn't. That's just another thing that struck me. Whether Dan Walker's scared of presenting this after he got knocked off his bike the next day after the last one. But so Peter Lane basically is the main presenter in this. Now, then we had Jane Moore, journalist for The Sun, you know, that reputable newspaper. And Jane Moore was very sniffy, we'll see as we go along, about social media. She's never seen anything like it before, and she hopes she never sees anything like it again. She's a journalist for The Sun. Phone hacking, scandals. She is being sniffy about social media. She works for the dirty gutter press and making out she's better than everybody else. And come on, Jane, you work for The Sun. You know, it's not exactly an esteemed newspaper. Oh, gosh. I mean, these people have got no idea of when they say things, how ridiculous they sound to anyone who knows that The Sun is an absolute rag. And she's saying that, oh, it was terrible what was happening with the social media. Then we've got Claire Fallon. She is the North of England correspondent for Channel 4 News. She goes on to say, we'll see when we start looking at the transcript, that there is a difference between social media and the mainstream media. Is there? Right, okay. Another character, if you like, that comes up. So Dan Walker does come on. He's a presenter for Channel 5 News. He does make an appearance. He does have quite a bit to say, but he's not the main presenter. Peter Lane is the main presenter. Then we have Palm. I like Palm. I find, but she's just towing the line. I do like this. I don't know if this is a real house or not. But look at this sofa. I really like this sofa. It's lovely, that room, isn't it? I don't know if that's a background or if that's really her kitchen or conservatory or whatever, but it's very pretty anyway. So Palm, yeah, she's very sort of logical, and she doesn't police bash. I don't like the police bashing from ex-police people because, at the end of the day, they shouldn't be bashing them just because they don't work there anymore. They can criticise them, they can say, but not total bashing. I don't like it, like what Mark Williams twonk does. So Palm has a lot to say. And here he is, hair newly dyed for the occasion. Mark Williams twonk, journalist and former detective like 20 years ago, always interjects himself in every case, doesn't he? And I just can't find any respect for him anymore since he came out and said that Oscar Pistorius was innocent, because Oscar Pistorius was not innocent. He was found guilty for a start. He was a gun-mad narcissist who murdered his girlfriend, and Mark Williams twonk sticking up for him. That's why I don't like him anymore. Then another guy, I've never heard of this guy before, but Matt Navarra is a social media analyst. He appears on this program, and he had his bit to say about social media, not necessarily criticising it, just saying what had happened. Of course, Paul appears in the video, but there's nothing new. There's no new footage, despite them actually promising, didn't they? They said unseen footage of Paul Ansell. There was no unseen footage of Paul Ansell in this video. So that was just talk about clickbait. Nothing was more clickbait than this Channel 5 documentary and the things that they said would be in it and were not in it. There was nothing new whatsoever. So there was and there wasn't much from Paul. They were, they just quoted him from his previous interview from time to time, but there wasn't much. Oh, and then of course we had Nick Ferrari. Nick Ferrari, he's another one. So he's a very right-wing presenter from LBC radio, and he, Nicola Bulley was on his program. Well, the subject of Nicola Bulley was on his program every 30 seconds when it was all going on. But he has a good slag off of social media. They won't. Well, will they have learned anything? He says no, because the cash keeps flooding in. Well, I'll tell you what. I'd like to exchange my salary from social media, from YouTube, with his salary, and let's see who was earning the most money out of Nicola Bulley. How dare he say that? It's like, he's a person working in the media, using these kind of stories for his own clicks, for his own listeners, and slagging off everybody else for doing it. So he's just like Mark Williams Twonk, because he does the same thing, slags off social media, and then he's on social media. Little snaky Sunak, he had something to say. We're going to look at what he had to say. Hollybone is the Northwest reporter for the Mirror. She was the one that said she had a bobble hat on, which apparently she didn't have a bobble hat on. Sally, of course, came into the equation. Mr. Folding. So this was the reconstruction of Peter. I don't know what he'll think of all this. He apparently declined to be in this program. He couldn't be in it. He couldn't be in it because of what he said later on. This program, I was definitely down on Peter, but then Peter, perhaps he should have took up the offer of, accepted the offer of appearing on it and had his say. I don't know, but he didn't. So they're very down on Peter, but this was the actor, this is the fake Peter Folding in the fake river and the fake Clapham Common or wherever it was filmed. And then they did also mention the real Peter Folding, and there was an interview from Peter on the video, on the documentary, saying the usual, that she categorically was not in the river. Again, this is the real Peter, isn't it? On his little sonar, side sonar thing. Then they talked about the poor Peter Lawson and poor Rebecca, because I do feel, that horrible news conference. It was a horrible news conference. It was just awful. Where then they did reveal that there were some specific vulnerabilities, and one of the reporters actually asked, can we dial down speculation? Can you tell us what these are? And Rebecca refused, and not only Rebecca, and Peter, bless his soul, refused to say what their vulnerabilities were, but then a couple of hours later were forced to reveal them. So this is another lady who taught, this is the editor of the Lancashire Post, Nicola Adams. She appears on the documentary as well, having her say. And then they do show, this is the family statement when Peter Lawson and Pauline Stables, who should have done that other press conference but went off sick, pulled a sickie. I bet she looked terrified actually on this day. I bet if she could have, she would have pulled a sickie again, to be honest. Anyway, they were arriving there to do the family statement and to confirm that the body that had been found was indeed Nicola. Then we had the embarrassing sort of press conference with Andrew and God, I always forget his name. Is it Andy something? Not Andy. His name's gone. I might have it written somewhere. No. Doing the press conference. I think he's retiring as well, isn't he? Now, then we've got a few actors that we'll see in it. So this, I say actors, I shouldn't say actors. Oh my God, I sound like I'm... These were a couple of TikTokers that got interviewed. I don't know if any of you know who this guy is, but he was interviewed, and we're going to, when we read the transcript, we'll see what he had to say. Oh, then this picture was made a big thing of. If you've seen this video, this documentary, why did they make such a big thing of this picture that was put out? Could this person, you know, have the clue to, you know, have the answer to what had happened to Nicola? Absolute load of rubbish. And yet they kept showing the man in black but never even mentioned him. But they made a big thing of this photo when the police asked for, who is this person? As if they had an answer, and then they kept you hanging over the ad break. And when you came back, well, I wasn't hanging because I knew this person never saw anything. But if you were watching it and you didn't know anything, you'd be thinking, oh, you know, would this person have the answer to what happened to Nicola? And then it came back after the ad break, again, clickbait, and said, no, she didn't know anything. Now, I don't know if anybody recognises this person. I think I might know who this person is, but I'll leave you to say it. I've got to be careful what I say on YouTube, but, you know, obviously in the chat you can say what the hell you like. And then they do show, again, it's funny, they're complaining about TikTokers and that. Well, Curtis is not a TikToker, is he? But this is on TikTok. Oh, maybe he did put it on TikTok. But they complain about TikTokers and YouTubers, but they're using their footage. They're using their footage to make their documentary. And this is where Curtis addressed Penny. And there's a short clip from this video where Penny was telling him, go away, go away. So this is Penny Fletcher, who, even though she's in her 70s, she is quite a robust 70-odd-year-old. And this was Curtis here. And when she told them to go away, they did go away. Oh, this, I don't know how well you can see this, but this is PC Thackeray's boot. Because they did show a little bit of that awful video that he made, trying to show that, you know, how the current would take Nicola down the river and over the weir, which actually proved the opposite. When I read out the transcript, I'll show, you know, I'll put the appropriate photo up. I just want to show you what's coming. I feel like I've made this documentary myself. I've spent that much time on it. So this was that. Now, this was interesting. So this is Emma White, and don't know why I always forget her name, Heather Gibbon. And why they showed this one interview out of the 17 interviews that Emma White gave, they decided to show this one for some reason. They only show a tiny bit of it. And, you know, there's loads of interviews of Emma freely available on the web. You know, they're there. They're like on all the news pages, etc. So why they just chose to use this very brief clip and didn't use any of the sort of other 16, I'm not really quite sure, but anyway. Then they showed, this is another irritating thing, wasn't it? They showed the river, whenever they did show the river wire, the real river wire, they showed it's practically overflowing. You know, this is recently when it has overflown. It actually did overflow, I think, this week. But it was not like that on the day that Nicola disappeared. Oh, and this was the end. Anyway, we'll look at that at the end. Okay. So I'm just going to stop sharing that because now, I'm coming back to you. I'd like to do if I was better at videos, I would do a documentary, but I'm just rubbish at videos. Just not very good at videos, unfortunately. Okay, just make sure you're all okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at the actual transcript. And what I think I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to go back and share that, because as we're going through the transcript, I will show you like the picture of whoever's talking. Let's go back. We'll go right back to the beginning. Oops. Right, go back to the beginning. Yeah, so this fake bench. Right. So going back to the transcript. So as I'm not sure who was saying this now. Is a suspect. So this is something that reached the highest levels of government. Oh, and this is where Rishi Sunak said, "My thoughts are with Nicola's friends and family. This is about our." Oh no, that wasn't Rishi that said that. This is about hours becoming days, becoming weeks. Just seems completely. Hey. Just seems completely inexplicable. The police have never had anything like this before. There were so many things going wrong. This is not suspicious. That is why the story grew so big. It exploded on social media. Oh, that's right. It was showing here some snippets from social media, what people had said. So someone had said, "I don't understand how she can go missing." Then it showed somebody else. He's lying through his teeth. Somebody else, clearly sabotaged. And then it goes back to the actual journalist saying, "There's likes, comments, videos. It's endless. 1 year on, there are still questions unanswered." No, so they made it, that was right at the beginning of the documentary. So they made it sound like they were going to answer some questions. But of course, they did not answer any questions. I feel that we've said as much as we can about that. That was the police who said that. What do they mean? What are they holding back? They were just desperately hoping that she was alive. And then Nick Ferrari, let's have a look at him actually again, because it's him who said this. Ah, there he is. It was Nick Ferrari who said, "It's like a Columbo or a Midsummer Murder, but in reality it was a woman's life that was at stake." You know, just the way that they say it, as if he wasn't talking about it like that, just everybody else. So St. Michael's on Wyre, Lancashire, a tiny village of just a few hundred people. I mean, it really is a tiny village. Actually, you know, I noticed while I was watching this, and when they said it was just a few hundred people, and when it showed the drone footage of the village, it actually is tiny. And I thought, oh, it's similar to my village, but my village is massive compared to St. Michael's. You know, it really is a tiny, tiny little village. So it's just about to be in the eye of a media storm. And then Peter Lane, so let's go back to Peter. He then took over from Nick Ferrari and said this. Oh, there he is. He said, "St. Michael's on Wyre, Lancashire, a tiny village of just a few hundred people, is just about to be in the eye of a media storm. There isn't anything there. You have a shop, a garage, the school and the river. It's the kind of place where everybody does know everybody." And that sounds like a cliche, but it's true. And then it went on to the lady from the Lancashire Post took over. Where's she gone? Ah, there she is. Nicola Adam from the Lancashire Post took over and said, it's just a quiet, kind of sleepy little place that doesn't trouble our news agenda very much. What happened was just incredible. I mean, we didn't see it coming. St. Michael's and Wyre is where Nicola Bulley's children go to school. So it's important to remember, Nicola did not live in St. Michael's. She lived in Inskip. Her children went to school in St. Michael's, but she did not live there, and she lived a few miles up the road. So in the beginning of this documentary, they were like flashing from newsperson to newsperson, just saying little bits and pieces. Nicola lives a few miles away in the village of Inskip. Nicola was 45 years old. She was born in Essex. I'm surprised that none of her Essex friends, have actually said anything publicly, or as far as I know anyway. She was a mortgage advisor. She moved up to Lancashire in the 1990s. Well, that's quite a long time ago. That's about the same length of time that I've been in Spain. And she lived with her partner, Paul Ansell. Now, also in this documentary, no mention about her previous husband, no mention that she'd been married before. No mention about her job, really, about her boss, about the email that she sent to her boss that morning. There's so many unanswered questions. They had 2 daughters, aged 9 and 6. And then it flashes to Paul talking. Let's have a look at Paul again. I'm just trying to make it as realistic as possible because I can't play the actual video. So then it flashed to him saying, she said, Mr. Ansell, it's a bit of a weird one, but we found Willow and Nicola's phone on the bench and the harness halfway down the embankment on the floor. I got hit by that weird. It's like your world just drops out because you know something weird has happened. Now, he does say weird quite a bit, Paul. But that is a true feeling that you get, isn't it, when you realize that something is not quite right and your stomach just drops. It's like gravity. It just drops and hits the floor. I do think that's a real human emotion. So then it goes back to Peter Lane, I think, talking. Paul calls 999 and rushes to the scene. Then Paul says, I got in the car, drove down there, ran down the river to the bench. Someone had Willow, and obviously there was a few other dog walkers there and stuff like that. They handed me Willow, handed me Nicky's phone. So there's all this controversy about how he just got the phone and, was allowed to take the phone. I still expected, obviously, to just have a look around and, well, there she is. Or there she is. But he had rang 999 on the way down there. So if he really did think that he was just going to find her there, and I do think this is a point that's valid. Would you ring 999 before you got there and saw for yourself that she wasn't there? I don't think I would do that. I think I would go, if somebody phoned me and said, oh, we've just found your dogs here, and I knew my partner had been walking the dogs. I think, especially if it was nearby, I mean, obviously, if it's an hour away, you're going to phone the police. But if you're literally like where I walk the dogs here, it's only 5-10 minutes away. So I don't think I'd ring the police first. I think I'd go there first, have a look for myself, then ring the police. But, you can't forecast what people will do, really, I suppose. So this is Paul talking still. So I'm like walking off into the field that way, like looking around the corners, looking over the head and nothing. Officers meet Paul to assess what happened. Now, I think in the actual documentary, it's either Mark. Let's go back to Mark. Now, Mark, please don't get upset if you're watching this about me calling you Mark Williams twonk. I'm just saying it affectionately. I'm sure you've heard worse. If you're in the public eye, twonk is not really a bad thing to say. I think this was him that was saying this, but I'm not sure. But anyway, let's just read it out. So they launch a huge operation. It might have been Peter Lane. It became quite clear quite quickly that the police were taking this very seriously. It was all hands on deck. There were divers in the water. There were drones in the air. We had fire and rescue services, mountain rescue services. They were doing fingertip searches of the area. It was huge straight away. And I think that's relevant. It was huge straight away. It's unusual for a missing persons case. There was a lot of resources down there very quickly. People go missing every day. A vast majority don't get such a big policing response. So, they tried their best to find her as quickly as possible. And of course, at that point, there was no sign of Nicola at all. And everybody wanted to help. Oh, this was Dan. I remember this now. This was actually Dan who was saying this now, where we are now. I should find a picture of him. Sorry, I'm just doing the best I can. I know it's not like watching the actual video, but of course you can. If you're in the UK, you can watch the video on Channel 5. It's my video. If I put the video on, you won't be able to watch it if you're in the UK. So this was Dan now speaking. So there were posters of Nicola Bulley everywhere, like almost at every lamppost you went past. Local residents started very quickly to organise search parties. And then it was Nick Ferrari, who went on to say it's like a Columbo or a Midsummer Murder, but in reality it was a woman's life that was at stake. So the eyes of the country were on St. Michael's on wire. Police are interviewing witnesses to try and work out what happened that fateful morning. And as part of the investigation, police would have retraced Nicola's last steps. Well, there was never a reconstruction done. There was never not a public reconstruction anyway. And her last sightings, she had a routine. Her routine was to take the girls, to drop the girls off at school and then to go and walk the dog. It was totally normal. The girls were, and then it goes on to Paul saying, the girls were having breakfast. Let me go back to Paul. Just like to keep, just so you've got something to look at so you know who's talking. So remember when Paul said the girls were having breakfast and everything was pretty much ready to go. The routine is basically if Nick is taking the girls and Willow, I'll get them in the car, get them strapped in, put Willow in the boot and all that. And Nikki comes out, I give her the keys and off they go. Well, as we've said many, many times, we still don't have the full camera footage from that morning. We don't have them coming out of the house. We don't have the footage of Nicola driving off. We don't have the footage of Paul going back into the house. Oh, somebody's just supported me on Ko-fi. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Someone. Thank you, someone, for that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Right, let me go back to what I was reading. So, yeah, we don't have any of that. And that is still... I am going to have a break from this case after this video today. I wanted to do this video today because I wanted you all to have a chance to hear or, talk about this documentary because I know it made a big impact on people and people were interested in it and we're all interested in the Nicola Bulley case. But I am definitely having a break, unless something comes up, of course, you never know what might come up. But during that time, I can't really do a proper documentary because I don't know how to video things properly. But I can sit down and all these issues, they talk about unanswered questions in this documentary. I want to write down all the unanswered questions and then try and find out the reasons why. And a big thing for me would be to ask the police, why have we not seen the full CCTV? They've drip fed it, haven't they? There was a little tiny bit of it of Nicola coming out that, originally, I mean, I'm going back a year now. Some of you will remember it, some of you won't. Then Paul and his friend sent the CCTV or the dash cam or whatever you call it, the doorbell camera thing, to a true crime channel. And then it was, lots of people said it was changed, that the CCTV or the footage had been altered. I don't know if it's been altered or not. I don't know enough about that kind of thing to be able to say that definitively one way or another. But what surprised me, I think what we do have to think is weird, is why would they send it to a true crime channel? It's like, same with Peter now. Part of the reason of this thing with Peter Folding is, why did he go on a YouTube channel to say what he had to say? Why didn't he go to the proper channels and do it? These are the things that always make, just as much as I feel suspicious about Paul and his friends sending that to the YouTube channel, is the same reason why I feel suspicious about Peter Folding only going to YouTube channels and not providing expert confirmation. There's no confirmation yet of those sonar images from anyone who knows anything about sonar. So do you see what I'm saying? So there's reasons for it. So to me, those two are the same. Paul and his friends sending that footage to the YouTube channel is just the same as Peter Folding doing the same thing. So, my raison, if you like, of that is why. It's not that I don't want to believe Peter Folding. Of course I want to believe him. I don't know if I can ever believe him now, but I did want to, because I've always trusted him right from the beginning. So, but I don't understand why he did that. And the psychic, and even Paul and his friend didn't send the bloody footage to a psychic, a fake psychic. Anyway, so the Ring doorbell showed the children being put into the car and the car driving off. Didn't show the car driving off. That's a lie right there, what they're saying there. The Ring doorbell showed the children being put into the car and the car driving off. It didn't, as far as we've seen. We've never seen the car driving off. She drives to school. We don't know that she drove to school. We don't know the route she took. But it most probably was. Now, remember, we're not supposed to speculate. But here's a bit of speculation. We don't know the route she took, but it most probably was the most direct route. Probably. She walked the short distance, crossing a road from the car park, and then there's a path that takes you right alongside the river. At that point, she's away from any CCTV, and she'd just gone on a normal morning walk. So the timings of that walk are crucial to the investigation, according to the bloody this transcript. Who might have seen something on quite a busy road? It is on quite a busy road. There's a lot of passing traffic, which was another theory, that someone from outside had passed through. They were collecting as much information as possible, witnesses, CCTV. It takes them hours. It took them months. They were still asking for CCTV weeks later, after Nicola had been found. I know that for a fact because one of my chatters, their husband, the company they work for, one of the people who worked there was traced from CCTV from the garage. But it was ages afterwards. Wasn't at the time. It was weeks, if not months afterwards. So they were only just catching up on checking all this CCTV then. Anyway, and I'm sure it took a long time. It takes them hours and hours to view that stuff because, of course, you have to go through it frame by frame. Now, it's quite strange because although St. Michael's is such a tiny place with only a couple of hundred people living there, that road is so busy and so many cars going past. I'm sure it did take them a long time, but it shouldn't have taken them months, should it? Police, and this is where they build up now. In this documentary, you get this, if you were watching it and you didn't know anything, you get this build up now. It takes them hours and hours to view that stuff because, of course, you have to go through it frame by frame, and police find an image of one person who could hold the key. And you think, well, you would if you didn't know better. Who is that one person who could hold the key? Police said that they were trying to find a key witness wearing a red coat. Everybody all of a sudden was desperate to try and find this person. Could this be the person that could tell us what had happened to Nicola? No. Right. And of course, us that know, we would know that the person they're referring to, and I find her, is this. So they made it in this documentary, they made a great big thing about this is building up to one of the ad breaks. Could this be the person that holds the key? God, it's terrible. Honest to God, what they did is awful, really awful, because if you were watching it and you didn't know, you'd be like bated breath, like, oh, was it? So could this be the person that could tell us what happened to Nicola? Friends and family of Nicola Bulley have renewed appeals to help find the mother of two a week after she went missing. Nicola went for a walk with her dog Willow and hasn't been seen since. A week in, and searches are continuing up and down the river for Nicola Bulley. Now notice, they didn't say, we're looking for these two men. Because remember, there were two men who were fishermen who were supposedly seen that have never been accounted for. The man in black's never been accounted for. Did they concentrate on that? No, they concentrated on this poor woman who was walking a dog with a red coat, who patently had nothing to do with anything. So the mystery is now captivating the world. It was being reported in newspapers across the country and across the world, including places like the New York Times. The New York Times reporting a story about a missing woman in St. Michael's. It just seemed bonkers. So this was the Lancashire Post woman saying this. The amount of attention that was getting on a scale that I haven't really seen. There are murders that get a lot less attention than the disappearance of Nicola Bulley. Yeah, strange that, isn't it? It had all the ingredients of a mystery. It had the dog on its own. It just seemed bonkers. Oh, sorry, I've repeated that. It had the phone just sitting on a bench. Again, was it on the bench or was it on the floor? Who knows? And then the police hunted for a woman who was seen in a red coat. They hunted for a woman. God, it makes it sound like the police were out like with guns, like hunting for this woman. Police want to speak to a woman who could hold the key. With no evidence found, Lancashire police are tonight appealing for a potential witness to come forward. So they'd obviously been checking through the various CCTV cameras and found her on there. Did she see what happened to Nicola that day? She comes forward and speaks to the police and the press, and then it turns out, no, she knew nothing. When we actually spoke to that lady, it turned out that she'd spoken to the police on the first day and that she told them she didn't know anything. So what was the point of building up all that, showing the photo, going to the ad break, and then after the ad break, you're just saying this? When we actually spoke to that lady, it turned out she'd spoken to the police on the first day and she told them she didn't know anything. She was baffled as to why she was now the centre of this new appeal. there was a little bit of lack of communication. It was Holly Bone who said this, actually. Let's have another. I don't know if we've looked at Holly properly. Let's go back to Holly. Oh, she's at the end. Oh, I don't know. No, she's at the end, I think, Holly. So the person who was saying this was where's Holly? There. So it was Holly Bone, the reporter for the Mirror, that was actually saying this that I'm reading out at the moment. Yeah, there was a little bit of lack of communication between certain arms of the police force. It did feel a little bit unorganised at times. So now the police are increasingly under the microscope. The more time that passed that Nicola was not found, of course, the criticism started to build up. The family were not assigned a family liaison person. And this was admitted to be fair, in the College of Policing. That didn't happen anywhere near fast enough, and they ended up with a family friend, Emma, of course, being their media advisor rather than somebody from the police. A 10-minute window was unaccounted for, and routes were not covered by cameras. Surely Nicola could have masterminded her own disappearance or been taken by someone. Journalists and the public are sceptical about the police's theory. The police were really focused on just the one hypothesis, which is that she went in the water. The dog hadn't gone in. There's no disturbance to the river bank. And I went to the scene. So this is Mark Williams Twonk. Have a look at him again. This was him saying it. So although he's saying that they're always saying, oh, it's terrible, all the social media turned up at the scene, but they all turned up at the scene as well. But of course, it's okay for them to turn up at the scene. Whatever. So he said, I went to the scene and I looked, and there's quite a number of exit routes. We felt as journalists, so this isn't him now, it's gone on to one of the journalists, because he's not a journalist, as much as you might want to say he is not actually a journalist. We felt as journalists we weren't seen enough or being told enough, and I think the family felt the same. There have been cases in the past where the police have said that they think it's one thing, and actually it has turned out that foul play has been involved. Yeah, and then they started to talk about this case of Nicole Smallman and Bieber Henry, which I don't really know much about this case, and I wasn't really sure why they picked up on this case. Maybe this is a case that I need to look at one day. But they brought up this case of Nicole Smallman and Bieber Henry. I don't know if any of you know about it, but I didn't know about it. But these were two sisters who were reported missing in London. And that missing report was not taken seriously. It wasn't acted upon. It was assumed, that they'd just gone off somewhere when actually they had been killed. So for some reason, they bring this into it. Doubts over the police's handling of the case are growing, and they're about to add fuel to the fire. So there was another question at the press conference. So going back now, we're going to show Rebecca and poor Peter. I do feel sort of very sad when I see Peter. Let me just come back to you all, just make sure you're okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm just laughing at some of the people. Hi, Miss Tree. Sorry, I haven't managed to say hello to everyone. I have to sort of give up on that a little bit. Yes, don't forget to thumbs up. Oh, we've got quite a lot of people on here at the moment, so thank you. So don't forget to do thumbs up. Thank you for the Ko-fi donation. And I will come back every now and again and make sure you're okay. But I get into I can see that you're all chatting amongst yourselves and you're all being nice to each other. So that's all I ask. So let's go back to this transcript. So we're now at this. Oh, actually, no, we're not at this one yet. Oh no, that's to come later. We're at the one with Rebecca. Oh, not Rebecca, Sally. So we're at this press conference now that they're talking about. And this, I don't know if you remember, which was where Sally was asked specifically if there were any issues. So there was another question at that press conference about whether there were any kind of health issues, any health problems. Are there any matters in relation to Nicola that we should be aware about that would cause her to go missing? And the answer was no. We're not considering. So this is what Sally actually says. We're not considering. Oh, well, we've clearly considered the whole picture. So she starts off saying we're not considering. Then she says we've clearly considered the whole picture. The idea she ran off with a lover. This goes back to Mark Williams Thomas now, I think. There's only two possibilities. She's either eloped with somebody or she's been abducted. This is not Sally who said this. There were suggestions that Nicola had been dragged into a series of underground tunnels. CCTV blind spot that the police hadn't bothered to look into. What are you doing? You know, if I don't keep an eye on that German Shepherd, she's a naughty girl, aren't you? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So the leash was meant to be there, and so was that phone. It was a setup. So these are different things that people were saying. People were making highly litigious claims against Nicola's partner, Paul Ansell. And then it went on to various social media people that were saying things like, can't you see through him? He's lying through his teeth. What doesn't sit right with me? This gentleman, it's his body language. There were people saying Paul looks too calm and relaxed. Paul hasn't cried. His face is some confusion as the sides of his mouth go up and his brow goes down. None of us would behave in a way that we think we would, and it's true. We all have done that, and I'm guilty of that. I'll hold my hands up. We've all looked at Paul's body language and queried it, and it's just so difficult because we don't really know what Paul's like normally. That's the problem. So you have nothing to judge him by. If you know someone and they're acting a certain way and then they start acting strangely, you know straight away, don't you? But of course, if you don't know someone, it's very difficult really to decide whether that's their normal way of acting or are they being duplicitous. So we'd all cry too much or cry not enough, because what is the appropriate amount to cry? And then somebody else had said about his hat and scarf. Now, I've watched this body analysis. I thought it was quite good, actually, but he did actually say this, which was it's ridiculous that he has a hat and scarf. England's not particularly cold, so it makes you wonder what he's trying to hide. Anyway, then the social media analyst, oh God, lost it, hang on. Then the social media analyst comes on to say what he thinks. I've just turned it off by accident. Let's have a look at the social media analyst. So I don't really know him. But he comes on to do say the details of the social media analysis. Come on, where are you? Matt Navarra. So he comes on to say this. There were 400 million. I mean, that is massive, isn't it? 400 million TikTok views, 160 million Instagram Reels views, Likes, comments, videos, endless, and Lancashire police lost control of the narrative. But he doesn't say this. This will have got, because I keep flagging back onto different people. But in reality and in fairness to them, they were all focused on finding Nicola. I do think the police were focused on finding Nicola. I don't believe that the police deliberately left her in the river, or it was a cover up by the police. That's not my opinion. I know a lot of people do have that opinion, and that's fine, but it's not my opinion. I just think they were inept in the beginning, and then by the time they started to try and catch up with everything, it was too late. Then, with the police no closer to the answers, the family turned to a private diving expert. And this is Nick Ferrari saying this, just to add what was effectively developing into a circus. That's just my gut instinct at this point. So that's Nick Ferrari saying it was a circus. And then he then starts to talk, or they start to show about Peter. So Peter Folding, this is the actor, this is the fake Peter Folding. And then they do show a little bit about the real Peter Folding. And he said, I said that if Nicola's here, I'll find her. If Nicola was in that river, I would have found her. He declared that she wasn't in the river. So that was like, well, where is she then? She must be somewhere else. Something's happened. This is Nick Ferrari who's saying this about Peter, just to let you know who's saying it. You have this man who's fairly loquacious. He's ready to give his theories in a fashion that the police won't. And that was a problem, wasn't it? That was mentioned in the College of Policing review. Peter filled a gap that the police were not, they were spending days without speaking to the media. So Peter filled that gap. And what is that going to do, says Nick Ferrari? It's just going to make the story even bigger. Peter Folding's comments spread across social media, and some start taking matters in their own hands. And because of the extraordinary global interest and obviously the traffic that these amateur sleuths were getting, some decided to actually go to the area. If you turned up in St. Michael's on Wire and started filming stuff, you were guaranteed huge amounts of clicks online. The bench became a tourist attraction. Now it's Palm that's saying this about the bench becoming a tourist attraction. I think she's further back here. Yeah, it was Palm that was saying that the bench became a tourist attraction, which it did. And then it showed this lady interviewing one of the TikTokers. As I say, I don't know if you know who he is, but it was quite funny this, because she said to him, oh, many people will find it's weird coming here, and he didn't realize what she was saying, and he said, oh yeah, it is quite eerie. And she said, no, many people will think that you're weird in coming here. And he goes, oh, no. So so the bench became a tourist attraction. Some people will think it's weird coming here. Yeah. What would you say to that? It is a bit eerie. It does feel a bit weird. But the fact that you've chosen to come here, and he says, because I just didn't want to take other people's word for it. You know what I mean? I've been watching so much online on YouTube videos. They've clearly sabotaged Peter Folding's search when he came up and volunteered his own time and everything else. I could not believe my eyes when I saw people actually turning up. Then the search moves to the area of river, which becomes tidal, and then out to the sea. But people are also tackling this invasion of amateur sleuths. And then it shows some amateur sleuths, if you like, There's one guy, he says, we're on live stream. Don't you ever put your hand on me again. He's having a go at the police. Beware, you know. So they show a few of these people, and then it said officers are forced to take action, and police were given extra powers in the Lancashire village where Nicola Bulley disappeared over concerns about video. So that was the dispersal order. So in the end, they did have to issue a dispersal order because there were that many people there. And this gave them the power to break up groups of clairvoyants. Online sleuths, TikTokers were banned. And then that's when this woman says, let's go, this woman here, but let's have a look at another picture of her on her own. She goes on to say this. Oh, there she was. Claire Fallon says, it's tricky because what's the difference between a TikToker and a journalist? It sounds like one of those knock-knock jokes, doesn't it? Anyway, there is a difference, she says. Generally, we aim to be reporting based on facts. What, like this documentary, Claire? This documentary was not based on facts. We weren't making stuff up. We weren't accusing people of things. I mean, I really felt for Nicola's family because they were having to deal with all of this external input from social media. And in particular, a lot of people were casting doubt on Paul. 2 weeks in, Paul gives an interview for a special program on Channel 5. And then it goes on to say a little bit about the program. Dan Walker, of course, he was the one who conducted this interview. Paul spoke at length, didn't he? Sorry, let me just go back to it, to Paul. And Dan, let's go with Dan. I interviewed Nicola Bulley's partner, Paul Ansell, the world exclusive. What that interview, this is what Dan says, what that interview offered was a snapshot of a broken family in the middle of a story which was everywhere. It was a mistake, really, that interview, wasn't it? How are you doing? But Paul must have known. I mean, Paul understands social media. Paul must have known that he would get scrutinised. Everything he said, every word he said, every action would get scrutinised. He must have realised that. You know, he couldn't have thought that he would just do that and nobody would say anything. So this is where Dan said to him that stupid question, how are you doing? What's life been like? And he said torture, didn't he? Or a nightmare or whatever. Anyway, then unfortunately, later on, detectives searching for the missing mother of two found a body in the River Wyre, about a mile from when she was last seen. And it came after a sighting by two members of the public. So there's no mention here about Jason being a sidekick or any of that side of things, or the fact that he was not called to the inquest. Anyway, they go on to say there's just this sense of sadness. It was a really sad day after everything that had happened. Everybody felt it. At that point, it became just a real family tragedy. And then I think we've got Peter and Pauline. They did the press conference, didn't they? Yeah. Peter and Pauline did the press conference announcing. Sadly, he said, we are now able to confirm that yesterday we recovered Nicola Bulley from the River Wyre. Nicola's family have asked that we release the following statement. Now, all they do in this documentary is start it off. They don't go through the whole statement. We will never forget Nikki. How could we? She was the centre of our world. She was the one who made our lives so special, and nothing will cast a shadow over that. And they don't go on to talk about then how, you know, the attack on mainstream media, not social media, how they attacked Sky News and they attacked ITV. They don't mention that in this documentary. You know, there's so much not in this documentary. Sometimes I think, the important things are the things they've left out, not the things they've put in. They've put in all the insipid things, all the things, but anything that really sort of was, a surprise or important in my eyes has been left out. Anyway, then they went on to say it was a really, really tragic ending to weeks and weeks of the nation holding out hope. And this is Dan Walker now saying this. I can't imagine what that day was like and how you tell your children that. I just wish there was a different ending to the whole thing. So then they just say, why did it take so long for Nicola's body to be found? We had not only Peter Folding investigating the river, but also other police divers. And it's true, it wasn't only Peter that was looking. The wilderness dog literally was there looking. So to suddenly realise that she'd been there all the time was sort of mind-boggling, really. Police tried to provide answers. Oh, God. And then one of their divers films. So let's have a look just at the photo while I'm telling you about this. A lot of you will have seen this. I've got this video. When I finally do a documentary, I'll include it. So this was PC Thackeray's boot. Do you remember the coroner sent him back to the river, and he was supposed to be, he paddled up most of that river and he tried to float. He couldn't float. And he is a lot heavier than Nicola. But it just, that particular video showed more that it was not possible than that it was possible, didn't it? So one of their divers films himself in the river wire to illustrate how quickly a body can move. He didn't illustrate how quickly it could move. He illustrated how it couldn't move and he had to keep standing up. Conspiracy continues to swirl online, probably because the video was crap, suggesting that this sad and unrelated death is somehow linked to Nicola Bulley. What was that? Anyway, it's almost like the more outlandish, the more ridiculous, the more clicks it gets. Oh, and this is Nick Ferrari now saying this. Let's have his picture up while he's saying it, because this just did me completely. How Nick Ferrari has the cheek to say this. Find it. He said, social media have to learn from this, but will they? No, because it helps fuel it and it keeps the money pouring in. And there's what I was saying earlier, he's earning a damn sight more than I'm earning, or, I've only got a little channel anyway, but even bigger channels won't be earning what he's earning. And he just kept it going day in, day out. Everything, at the end of the day, he is a journalist. He's not going to he's not going to, he's on the radio and he I follow them on Twitter, LBC. They don't tweet stories out that nobody's interested in. They tweet a story out and see what the traction is. Like, if they tweet a story out and people are liking it and sharing it and that, they'll keep talking about that story. That's what they do. And they to insinuate almost that only social media do that, not him. That is what you do. You're not going to put videos out that people won't be interested in. I mean, personally, I put videos out that I'm interested in. I hope everybody else is interested in. And, that's why sometimes it goes against the algorithm, because the YouTube algorithm will keep, if you keep putting similar subjects out, then the algorithm will pick up on it. I personally don't care about the algorithm, because for me, it's just like, oh, that's interesting. Let's do a video on that. And maybe I should be more aware of the algorithm, but it's common sense that you don't put videos out that you don't think nobody's going to watch, and it's common sense that a news program like LBC is not going to give news out that they think people won't be interested in. So people's fascination with true crime is unabated. Well, you won't change that. If people are fascinated with true crime, you've got to work with it. You can't just pretend it's not happening like white noise. You've got to this what I think the police could work with social media better. They seem to work with social media better in America than they do in the UK. It's like in the UK, it's just like, oh no, we don't. It's like they don't want to face it, or particularly in this case, good pretending that social media doesn't exist. It can be a help, if you use it in the right way. Anyway, people's instinct with this particular case was to think there was a criminal act here. And they're sort of making this, they shouldn't have been thinking it was a criminal act, but then they kept putting that photo up, which actually I'm going to show again now. They kept putting this bloody photo up. Or this part of this. What was that about? And then this bloody Sun woman said, ultimately, the ending turned out to be very ordinary indeed. I didn't think it was ordinary. It was just a terrible, terrible accident, Anyway, then Paul goes on to say this. So let's put Paul up now, because this is coming to the end now of the documentary. Ooh. When Paul makes the documentary finishes on Paul saying, when Dan asks what's she like, he says, she is fun, she is loving, sorry, it's not ending yet, she is an exceptional mum, and she absolutely adores our girls. And then Dan went on to say, I have stayed in contact with Paul and the family, and it would be wrong for me to say they're doing okay, because how can you be okay? So he's insinuating there that he's got some contact with them. The family are trying their best in impossible circumstances to live one day at a time, and the kids are surviving in a world without their mum, which must be heartbreakingly difficult to deal with every day. And then this is the final thing I think that Paul said. She is a pillar of strength, to our family. And without her, the whole is bigger than you could possibly imagine. So that's basically the transcript that I had. So I've just tried to go through it. Oh, thank you, Mello. That's very kind. Thank you. I'm trying to show it. I don't know if I've managed to do it or not. Thank you, Mello, for that. Super. Oh, and Nick as well. Thank you. So thank you to all of you that have sent me super stickers. So there was put it towards a Tartan Barbie fund, Nick, yeah. And Jean for a bottle of wine, thank you. Oh, and thank you, Mel. I really appreciate that. I really, really do. Thank you so much. Okay, I've probably missed loads of your comments, and also thank you for the Ko-fi. Somebody bought me a Ko-fi as well. Thank you for that. What do we think? Let's have a look now down. It's Betty Boo. There are lots of. It's nice seeing new chatters, and it's nice to see you all managing to sort of, have your different opinions, but still be nice to each other, because we all have our ideas about it. Will this case? It's very sad, because it's very sad for the family, in the sense of if it's going to sort of linger on for years, people talking about it here and there, because nobody, many people just feel like there must be more to it. And, I don't know. I honestly, the way I feel it, I just feel it's very distressing. And that's, just me. I mean, God knows how it is for the family, and if Paul hasn't got anything to do with it, maybe we have all misjudged. That's how I just feel at the moment. My head is totally scrambled with the whole thing and all the sort of things around it. And I suppose that's been made worse by this past couple of days trying to get this video out there and that. But yeah, I would, if I ever eventually do a documentary about this case, I will put everything in. Not only, this has been a whitewash. It has been a whitewash. They've put in the things that aren't relevant. That thing about the woman in the red coat was totally unnecessary, because they said themselves that they sort of built it up, made it look like there was something coming, for the ad break. And then afterwards it was like, oh no, it turned out she had nothing to do with it. Why do that? Why put that in? Why put in totally irrelevant things? Then just keep showing the man in black in the behind Nicola, but never even mention it. Never mention the screams. Never mentioned, many things that were relevant. So it's just useless, that, to be honest. Oh well, good luck, Ali, if you think you've cracked the Madeleine McCann case. Ah, dear me. Yeah. You're right, Bridget. There's always a way. So at least we've been able to talk about the documentary. Now, if you're in a different country from the UK, you can watch the documentary and my comments on it as it was going along. But just if you're in the UK, you are restricted. If they said that about Russia or whatever, people would say, oh, like Russia is, just makes you realise how easy it is to manipulate what people get to watch. If they want to manipulate what you get to watch, they can. And I know, there's like copyright and everything, and I understand that. I honestly do. But I was using it under fair use. I wasn't pretending that I'd put the documentary together. I was using it as fair use, as commenting on it. I wasn't saying, oh, this. It's like if somebody showed one of my videos and tried to make out it was their video, that would be, I'd be really peed off. But if somebody used one of my, and it's happened, people have used my videos and commented on it. And it's just like, well, what are you going to do? You put your video out there. Oh. Hi, Haley. So now let's talk about, let's get an idea. Oh, well, actually, I want to put up, I'm going to put the man in black picture up because I just want people to, I think you all do realise, but I want people to see this is ridiculous, the way they've put, what was this about? This is the thing that's irritated me the most about that whole documentary, the false bench, the false Nicola, the man in black being shown, but not false river, but not false river, but, different river. The man in black being sort of tantalizingly put there but never mentioned. And the other thing is how they clickbaited this documentary by saying there'd be unseen footage of Paul, which there wasn't, and also they said that there would be unanswered questions answered, which there wasn't. So it was a total clickbait documentary. You should be Channel 5. I am disappointed in you, because I thought you were better than that, to be honest. Yeah, so that's it, Susan. The point of this really was so people could all agree about how crap it was. But no, well, it's nice. People like to chat about things, because if you're anything like me, probably a lot of you, you could try and chat about it like with your family or whatever, or your friends, and they're like, what? Because they're not really into true crime or whatever. So yeah. Oh, well, who knows what might happen. Thing about this case is, there's always something else. The thing is, Channel 5, or maybe I'm thinking of Channel 4, Mellow, but they never used to be tabloid, did they? Or I think the whole media in general in Britain has been dumbed down I've said that for ages. It's been dumbed down completely. Oh, and that's what I wanted to say. But that woman from The Sun having the audacity to complain about what other people do when she works for an absolute rag newspaper that is responsible for so many awful stories, and then complaining about other people. Anyway. So don't forget. So I will be doing some more videos this week, not tomorrow, but not on this subject, unless something, who knows what might, do you know what, you just don't know. Peter might come up with these expert sonar images, confirmation. You just never know, do you? You know, every day's learning curve in this case. But if not, we'll be doing some other cases. I'll be looking at other cases, and then of course we've got Valentine's Day to look forward to. So don't forget to send me your love things, you know, like anything to do with love. It could be a little poem, it could be a nice picture, it could be your wedding photo. I'll block out the faces, don't worry. It could be anything to do with Valentine's Day, to do with romance, love, etc. Send me to Vicky Marie Chats, Vicky with an I, @gmail.com. And on Valentine's Day, which is a week on Wednesday, I think, we'll be having a party, won't we? Little party. Yeah, we just wait for the next bombshell, Rio. You know, I'm surprised nobody, you know, maybe she was beamed up. You know, I don't know. No, she wasn't, bless her. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. But, you know, it's not only Nikki's case that's heartbreaking. There's so many other cases out there, so many sad things. And, of course, the thing that's on... Let me just have a look. Where is this guy? Yeah, he's still not being found. This guy in the Clapham chemical attack, they still have not caught him. Abdul Ezedi, he's still not been caught. How has he not been caught yet? Because he's got those terrible scars on his face. You know, terrible scars on his face, and you just think somebody would have seen him. I'm wondering if he hasn't done something to himself. It's either someone's hiding him or something's happened to him, because how can he have not been caught yet with that distinctive face? But anyway. Okay, so I am going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for persevering with me, because oh, thank you. It was Adelaide who bought me a coffee. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I don't think I can show it up on here, but thank you. And thank you to all my members. So, Ali, I think you were on here. You know, Ali, I need to send you an email, because this month, February, there's 3 of you that have been members for 8 months, and one of you, Robin, he's already asked what he wanted for, and I've sent that to him. And so because every month I'm going to give my members, the longest serving members, if you like, some merch. So anyway, I'll email you, Ali, and see what you want. Okay. So thank you for all of you. Yeah, thank you so much. And remember to live and love wisely and carefully. Gosh, I actually got through a stream without it being suspended. And if you're in any of the other countries, you can still see my other videos. But anyway, thank you for being here with me, sticking with me, because that's been difficult, but thank you. And till I see you again, may your God go with you. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Oh, take care.